Hi guys, I hope you're all well. So today I thought I would take you onto the sofa and do a more relaxed, chatty video. So from now on, when you see this sofa setting, be warned, it's going to be a bit of a chatty video. You'll know, oh shit, she's about to talk. She's going deep. So for a while now, I've been trying to film a vegan Q&A video, and every time I film it, the video is always extremely long and just very rambly, a bit all over the place, and I never ever upload the videos because there are a lot of different questions, topics and debates, I guess, to be had around veganism, and it's such a large topic with many different components that are worth talking about and are worth talking about in detail, I think. So whenever I try to do a video like that, I always feel like there's not enough time for me to give a fully formed answer that is well-rounded and covers all the different particulars of that topic, and keep the video short and sweet and a length that people are going to want to watch. So I decided instead I'm going to film a series of videos like this where I just sit down and chat about one topic in particular. That way I can really give a coherent answer. So I've already got some things in mind, but if you have any questions, then let me know in the comments below. It could be anything from something that you don't understand about veganism and you want to understand, or you want to know my opinion on, or a predicament that you were in and you just want to know maybe what I would do, or something that you've heard and you're wondering what I think about it. But today, as you can tell from the title of this video, we are going to be talking about faux meat or fake meat, and specifically, why would a vegan or a vegetarian want to eat faux meat? I get this question a lot. A lot of people tend to say, well, if you don't want to eat meat and you're against eating meat, why would you want to eat something that looks like meat? And other people like make jokes and say, you know, why do all these vegetarians and vegans go out of their way to make their food look like ours, like a meat eater's food? Other people have said to me, you know, why can't you just eat the real thing, the real deal, and not all this processed stuff? You know, if you're going to eat something, you should eat the real thing. With any question, honestly, when it comes to veganism, I think it's really helpful to just take a step back and look at the original definition of veganism and what veganism is. Usually it goes some way towards answering the question. So the definition of veganism, this is from the Vegan Society website. Veganism is a way of living which seeks to exclude, as far as is possible and practicable, all forms of exploitation of and cruelty to animals for food, clothing, or any other purpose. So it's basically just saying veganism and vegans, they just want to live their life without harming or being cruel to animals. That's basically it. Just trying to live a life that doesn't harm animals. That seems quite simple to me, and it seems quite reasonable, I think, obviously, since I'm a vegan. But other people seem to have a lot of issues with it and complicate it a lot more than it really needs to be complicated. Notice in that definition of veganism that it doesn't say that you have to exclusively love the taste of vegetables and nothing else, and that you must hate meat. A lot of vegans love the taste of meat, and a lot of vegetarians love the taste of meat, but they don't love what has to happen to produce it. So I think that is the first thing that needs to be made clear, is that you could love steak, you could love ground beef tacos, you could love chicken burgers, you could love all of these meals, but you don't like the idea that to eat that food, an animal has to die, or an animal has to be abused in some way or exploited. We live in 2016, you know, we've got a lot of technology. We've put a man on the moon, although some people will argue about that as well, so perhaps that's not the best example. But you know what I'm trying to say. We have amazing technology. We've honed a lot of skills. The same goes for food. So in 2016, if you love chicken burgers, but you don't want chickens to have to die to produce those chicken burgers, and somebody's made a product that tastes exactly the same and you can go and eat that instead, what is the problem? I think a lot of people that eat meat think that, you know, vegans are absolutely outraged at any kind of meal involving meat. And for so many people, that's not the case at all. You know, they were raised eating these foods. A lot of these foods are comfort foods. They've got memories and traditions associated with them. And if you can buy a product that replicates that taste and that that feeling for you and you don't have to harm an animal, then you're going to do that. But it doesn't mean that all you want to do is eat lettuce. You know, you still enjoy food just as much as you did before. So why wouldn't you want to eat those products and those meals that you're really accustomed to eating? Now, I wouldn't say that for someone like me that is necessarily the reason that I have eaten or eat fake meat. For those of you that don't know, I was vegetarian before I was vegan, and I was vegetarian for 20 years. I've been vegan for a year and a half, so it's been, you know, knocking on for 22 years now that I have not eaten any meat. So I would be lying if I sat here and told you that I remember exactly what all the different meat meals tasted like, because I don't. It's been a really long time. The majority of my life I have not consumed any meat, and yet I still buy fake meat every now and again, and I use meat replacements in my cooking. And the reason for that is, first of all, I guess it's a really complicated matter, because first of all, I am making recipes for other people, and I'm making recipes that I hope will appeal to people and help them give veganism a shot, even if it's just one day a week, and just help to make vegan food not seem extreme or like a crazy thing. You know, if you can make a meal for someone that's similar to something they've had before, if it's within their culinary world already, then I think that goes a long way to kind of normalizing veganism and making people understand why someone would want to be vegan. You know, I feel like it's a texture thing a lot of the time. If you think about it, we know that people can live happy, healthy lives without eating animal products, but people still eat animal products. Why? And I guess it's different for everybody, but I would imagine it's because they can get some nutrition from it. So they choose to eat that to get protein, to get their fats and things like that. You can get protein from quinoa and beans and tofu. So why would someone choose to eat meat over those plant sources? And a lot of the time it's because they like the way it tastes. They like the texture in their mouth. They like the chewy sensation, and they like the flavors basically, and they like the memories that are associated with eating that food. And so if we all just ate to survive, we would all be just knocking back a smoothie for every meal that just tasted like vegetables, because that's all we would need to do. But that's not what food is about for most people, I don't think. We like to create meals that have different textures, different flavors, and different chewing sensations. This mouthfeel, this is a weird thing to talk about, but you know what I mean. You don't just want a pureed dish of baby food for every meal, even though you could do that, because you like the textures of different things. And so the reason that a lot of people use mock meats, or the reason that people will use, for example, rice paper and make rice paper bacon, or make coconut bacon, or things like that, the reason that people will either use vegetables or packaged products to replicate a BLT, maybe with coconut meat instead of pig meat, is because they like the different textures and the things going on in that dish. We all have an emotional bond with food, and we very often have you know, events and celebrations and things and traditions, family traditions, that go hand in hand with certain dishes, and you don't have to leave that behind when you decide not to eat animals anymore. At Christmas, for example, as a vegetarian, I always used to have these parcels made with phyllo pastry, and I put cranberry sauce in them, or some sort of like fruit jam, and I would put a cheese like brie or camembert inside, and then it would all melt together. You can make a cheese that is vegan and nut based, and you can make it at home, and you can make a brie or a camembert that looks and tastes exactly like a dairy camembert. And if I can have that meal that I've always enjoyed, nobody has to suffer for it, and I can have a nut cheese in there instead. What's the problem with that? I really don't understand the issue. I didn't stop eating that because I hated the way it tasted all of a sudden. I stopped eating that because I realised that the dairy industry was inherently problematic, and I didn't want to support it anymore. People will often say, you know, why do you have to make veggie sausages? Like, why do you have to make them look like meat sausages? Why did we make the sausage in the shape that it is? Why did we make a burger the shape that it is? It's not got anything to do with meat, you know. I hate to break it to these people, but a cow does not look anything like a burger. A burger is a product that has been processed and has been made from an animal, and from like the carcass of an animal that's been slaughtered. Like, you know, you don't see burgers growing in a field. They were made that shape, and now we have buns and everything that all kind of fit together. They were made that shape because it's an easy shape to package, it's an easy shape to cook, and to cook evenly and well, or however you want to cook it. It goes on a grill, it can, you know, it can go in the oven. It's a practical shape. And so if I'm making a black bean burger, for example, I'm not making it into a patty shape just because I want it to look like a beef burger or anything like that. It's just that that is the most practical shape. We've devised these ways of making products and cooking products, and those shapes are that way because it's a practical way to cook food, quite honestly, not because it looks anything like the animal it came from. Chicken nuggets don't look like a chicken. Beef burgers don't look like a cow. Bacon doesn't look like a pig. So I don't understand the problem with vegan or vegetarian alternatives taking that form as well. Even if they do completely mimic the meat version, even if you do get bacon and it's got pretend, you know, strips of fat in it and it's shaped like bacon, does it matter? Another argument that seems to be bandied around a lot is, but those foods are super processed. Why can't you just eat the real thing instead of this processed version, unhealthy version? And people will always talk about how processed they are and how, you know, it's made in a factory and it's made in a lab. And again, I don't think people realize that the food that they're eating, these pure products, these products that are the real deal, I don't think they understand that they are also processed foods, you know. We don't just go into a field and dig up a block of cheese. It's made because someone processed ingredients that came from an animal. So first of all, you've got to get a cow and you've got to artificially inseminate that cow. Then when that cow gives birth, you've got to take away the calf or hold the calf back from getting the milk so that we can take the milk. And then that milk has to be churned and it's processed and it's made into products like butter and cream and cheese. And that does not happen just naturally. You know, you've got to add things into the cheese and it's got to be stored at certain temperatures, and then it's processed and packaged and taken to a supermarket. So I don't understand how that is vastly different from someone making a tofu based cheese or a coconut oil based cheese or a nut based cheese and putting herbs and stuff in that, blending it up, putting that in a package and putting that in the supermarket. At the end of the day, they're both processed products, and I think it's kind of short-sighted to see one as the real food and the other as this fake, overly processed imitation. Now, of course, there are very highly processed vegan and vegetarian convenience foods, fast foods, packaged foods that you will find in a supermarket, but there are also highly processed non-vegan foods that you'll find in a supermarket. Do I think it's great to eat those things every single day? Probably not. I don't think it's great for anyone, whether they're a meat eater or a vegan, to be eating overly processed, refined foods all of the time. But do I have a problem when I'm really hormonal and I'm feeling like crap eating some chicken nuggets and chips, vegan chicken nuggets and chips? No, I have no problem with that. I don't see the issue. I really don't see the issue. I don't know how people think chicken nuggets and chicken drumsticks and things end up breaded and in plastic wrap in boxes. They're also made on an assembly line. They're also made in food factories and they're also processed. And I think it's less a question of vegan processed foods and vegan junk food and more just a case of everybody should probably be eating that kind of stuff in moderation and trying to eat more things in their whole form. Like, I don't understand why that's just applied to vegan and vegetarian food. So I think I've covered everything. I don't know. It's one of those things I don't understand why people get so worked up about. Let people eat what they want to eat as long as nobody's being harmed. Then I don't see why anyone should be criticizing it. Going vegan doesn't mean that you magically stop craving the foods that you've grown up eating your entire life. It doesn't mean your taste buds change, and it doesn't mean you have to give up food, anything that ever vaguely resembled the foods that you ate before. It's just that you choose different versions of them that don't cause any harm to anyone. If that's a faux chicken burger every once in a while, or if that's a plate of raw vegetables, whatever floats your boat. I don't really care, and I don't think anyone has the right to tell anybody what to do as long as they're not hurting anybody. What's the problem? I hope that you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already so you get updated with all my new videos. Give it a thumbs up if you like this, and I'd love to hear your opinions in the comments below. What do you think about faux meat? Do you eat it? Do you eat it every once in a while? Does it get you stressed out, or like me, do you just think maybe everybody needs to chill out and have a cup of tea and get along? If you've got any further questions, if there's anything you'd like me to discuss in this series, if you've got a burning question for me, leave it in the comments below and I'll make some more of these chatty videos for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video tomorrow. Bye!